thank you to the organizers of today, this sacred event. I bring greetings from Greg Roll, who convened the first Juneteenth festival in Ithaca in the early 90s. He lives in Florida, and he wants to say that SWAT and militarization have nothing to do with the Juneteenth Festival of Liberation. Indeed, thank you for the greeting, Tylee, to the grand rising that we are part of, or that we are experiencing right now. Indeed, each of these sessions have felt like to me, like the best of church, where testifying to the truth will set us free. I am humbled to be asked to speak here. And I was asked to speak because of my experience as a person in this community who watched the militarized invasion of homes by Ithaca's SWAT team. There were a series of friends and neighbors in 2014, so this is 6 years ago now. But one of them lives in Dryden, one mother, there's 3 women. Each of these women are Black women, each of these women are mothers. My one friend in Dryden had a home raid in February, another friend downtown in Ithaca shortly after, and then the next one was my neighbor on Elm Street on the west side of Ithaca. In each of these cases, those women should be here telling you their story. And one of them did 2 weeks ago right here tell her story. Andrea, wherever you are, that was the first time maybe that she had a space to do that. The other 2 women, one of them, the first woman friend of mine that had a home raid, had her home destroyed, and in order to get the police to fix her home, she had to sign a paper saying that she would never talk about it. Luckily, she had the sense right away after it happened to write out her testimony and spread it around, and I asked her, do you want us to talk about it now? And she said yes. I'm not giving you her name, but let me just give you the consistent pieces with my friend's experience. Imagine, and thank you for saying it. Now I just can't remember the names of the person who just said, we are in a war. We are in a war. And militarized force is necessary in this system to wage this war of white supremacy and global capitalism. The police begin with a big bomb, and that's what we heard on our street at 5 in the morning when they invaded our neighbor's home. The big bomb is a diversionary tactic, then they go and crash into the house, and no matter where you're sleeping and how you're sleeping, you end up in chains, and you may be chained for an hour or 2 in front of your children while they search every single piece of paper and every cereal box and every corner of your house. What's important is not only that we know about it, but that we know that it's being done as a matter of policy 24/7. That policy stands in our name, with our money on our behalf. So it feels like our work to say, if that doesn't represent me, then I need to stop it. So we are here. So very notably, I borrowed my niece's watch because I'm not good with time. Thank you, Anna. Each of these women had destruction, had terror terrorizing their children, the normalization of terror. And I can say that living on West Hill, just a block under West Village, the SWAT came regularly with the big guns, and that was normalized terror in West Hill. They took things, they destroyed things, they took like $1,000 from one mother, they took a computer, they took jewelry, they did not return these things to them. So I think that this moment that we're in, with the door wide open because of the sacrifice and struggle of hundreds of years, that we need to ask for those reparations now. And I'm not even touching on the murder of Sean Greenwood, the murder of Keith Shumway, the murder of Takia Harris and Corey Henderson, and the murder of Shirley's daughter, Michael. This is the moment, and it came at such sacrifice. So I'm grateful for this moment that you called us together to decriminalize, demilitarize, and decarcerate. For me, I'm grateful for having born into a family and with elders that see the connection between the triplets of racism, militarism, and extreme materialism. And the way I translate that is white supremacy, militarization, and capitalism. And that they always work together all the time. That alone they are deadly, and together they're really deadly. The last time I looked, nobody gives up their land, their labor, and their lives without being forced. And that force happens 24/7 in our name, with the police gun all the way up to our big bombs, nuclear weapons that happen globally to people of color on the front line and indigenous people first. Every nuclear weapon that's not made is mined from indigenous land, uranium, sacred uranium. Every test that happens on indigenous land. Every dumping site happens on indigenous land. That is invisibilized. But let me tell you, there's women organizing in Seneca territory. If you don't know them already, Agnes Williams and Maria Maybe, about the dumping of radioactivity on their Seneca territory. And the women in the Southwest, in Diné territory, are organizing on their behalf on that mining practice and then the testing of those weapons. But I'm here to tell you that we have choices. As we are human, we have choices to withdraw our consent from those systems of violence that operate in our name 24/7. So the final words that I have to share, and thanks to my elders that didn't teach me through college and they didn't teach me through a workshop, although those are very good things, but with almost like kicking me into the practice of disarming my first world, first strike weapons, led me to the head of the beast and then into the bowels of the beast, into U.S. federal prisons and U.S. jails and courts. It is in those places that I learned as a white woman, the corollary that came to me, that to the extent that those of us with privilege, who are privileged by this system, take responsibility for disarming, for the real crime of killing millions, stealing trillions, we will stop scapegoating all of our sisters and brothers on the receiving end of those crimes, that have been on the receiving end of those crimes. That is a spiritual awakening. So it's not going to be like you are going to be my project to help you. I'm taking care. It's a little spiritual truth that in this thing of projection, as long as I don't take responsibility for that colonization, that original sin of this Turtle Island, and the original sin of enslaving African people to this day, if I don't take responsibility, I will be constantly projecting you as the problem. So to the extent that we can take responsibility for that violence, terror, and murder and bloodshed that happens 24/7 in our name. So I am grateful to be standing in this moment that has been brought to us from the sacrifice, blood, lives of all generations, so many generations of people. I want to trust. When we went to to walk through Onondaga Nation. We asked permission to walk through Onondaga Nation. And the chiefs and the Torodaho invited us into the longhouse. And they said, "You're following your true calling to be peace, and we want you to know that nothing can go against the good mind." So what I'm here to say is that anything that is not of the Creator's will is gonna have to be forced. And that we've had enough of this force, this deadly force, this capitalist force, and white supremacy force way too long. It cannot stand. And now it is time to follow the Creator's will and let the good mind lead us as we dismantle it. Thank you.